In weddings, one of the biggest issues you will face a lot is that the audio files are not recorded properly. Before we get into learning how to fix these issues, let's talk about the difference between mono and stereo track. Now, for this to be better understood, let's take a look at this example. Here, we have a music track. Notice how the left side and the right side both have parts within the music track that are a bit thicker. The thickness indicates that some parts of the music are slightly louder. Let me play the music so you can visually see what I'm talking about. Pay attention to the audio meters. As you can see, the audio meters are bouncing up and down at different levels. It's because the audio coming out of the left speaker is slightly different from the audio coming from the right speaker. This is called a stereo track, and it should be like this when it comes to music or any other sound design that involves a lot of instrumentals. Now let's take a look at this example, which is a reading from the bride. Notice how the left side is a lot louder than the right side. This suggests that the audio will be heard mostly from the left side speaker. Pay attention to the audio meters while you are listening.
Dear Tracy, our big day is finally here. It seems like we have been waiting and thinking about it forever. You're my best friend, and I couldn't be more excited to marry you.
You can clearly see that the left side is a lot louder than the right side, which indicates that the audio you hear comes from the left side speaker. Now, this is a mistake when it comes to readings such as vows, speeches, or anything that involves with a person speaking. The audio track should be always mono. This means the left side and the right side should be even at all times, rather than bouncing up and down at different levels.
Dear Tracy, our big day is finally here. It seems like we have been waiting and thinking about it forever. You're my best friend. And I couldn't be more excited to marry you.
Now, can you spot whether this is a mono or stereo track? Have a listen to it.
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives. Yet this sharing should not diminish the individuality of each partner.
It's hard to tell without the audio meters, right?
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives. Yet this sharing should not diminish the individuality of each partner.
As you can see from the audio meters, this is a stereo track. My suggestion is not to count on the audio meters because during your editing process you will have music sound effects and you will notice that the audio meters will always be bouncing at different levels. There is actually a better way to find out whether the track is mono or stereo. All you have to do is go to your project panel, choose the bin where your audio is located, maximize the project panel so that you can see all the information about that audio track. Now you can clearly see that this is a stereo track. I really recommend doing this every time you start a new project. It's important to study your materials before you actually work on them. Okay, so how do we turn a stereo track into a mono track? There are two ways to fix this issue. The first way is pretty easy. First, go to your project panel and choose Effects, then Audio Effects, and then Special. Now you have two options here, Fill Left with Right and Fill Right with Left. Now listen to it one more time and pay attention to the audio meters.
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives. Yet this sharing...
As you can see, the left side is louder than the right side. So in this particular case, I'm going to choose Fill Right with Left, which means fill the right side with the left audio. And here are the results.
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives.
Now, the second way of fixing this issue is a lot better, in my opinion. You can create two independent audio tracks, one for the left side and one for the right side. And you can do that right from the beginning of your project. Alright, let's do it. But first, let me delete the audio effect. Okay, in your project panel, go to your audio bin, Choose the desired audio track, right-click on it, and then go Modify. Then Audio Channels. Now, this audio track, as you know, it's a stereo track, and this is what this window is telling us basically. So when we imported the audio track into Adobe Premiere, Adobe recognized this file as a stereo track, and it used the original properties of the audio track. Now, since I want to change the properties of the file, I'm gonna go to Use File and change it to Mono. For the number of audio clips, you can choose whether you want to have one single audio track that is mono or two independent audio tracks, one for the left side and one for the right side. I prefer to have two independent audio tracks, so I'll leave it as it is. This warning message tells us basically that the audio track in our timeline is not affected, but it will be only affected in the project panel. So for this reason, it's a good idea to check your audio tracks and make the necessary changes right from the beginning of your project. Okay, so now if I play this audio track in the timeline, you will notice that nothing has changed.
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives.
But it has changed in our project panel. Let me bring the audio track again into my timeline. Now, as you can see, I have two independent mono tracks, one for the left side and one for the right side. Have a listen to it.
Marriage brings permanence to the intimate sharing of two lives. Yet this sharing should not.
In this lesson, we discuss the difference between stereo and mono track. I highly suggest that you check your audio tracks once you import it in your project panel so that you can make the necessary adjustments right from the start, rather than realizing that there is an issue with your audio track somewhere midway through your project. If you remember nothing else, let it be this: audio tracks that have a verbal message should always be mono.